Welcome back to the channel, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the new FLSUN 3D printer, the FLSUN S1 Pro. One of the fastest printers money can buy, or it's the fastest commercially available one. The reason it can do this is because it's delta structure. That means there are 3 arms coming in, moving the tool head left, right, and all around. This printer's so fast it uses a CPAP fan for cooling. So let's just get started. This printer has all the features you could possibly want in a printer. It's got automatic bed leveling similar to the Bambu Lab 3D printers, which means you'll get a perfect first layer every single time. This bed leveling uses the nozzle to probe the bed to make sure it knows where the bed is to give you that perfect first layer. Also, if you've had printers like the Ender 3 Pro, you'll know how terrible it is to calibrate that. This one's got automatic calibration, which I'll get to in a second. First, let's talk about the filament capabilities. This printer can handle all your normal PLA, PETG, TPU prints. Since it's got a full acrylic enclosure, it can print stuff like ABS, ASA, and PA. But it's got more features so you can print even harder filaments like carbon fiber, which is something I've always wanted to do, but I don't have a printer that can currently do that. This printer utilizes a direct drive extruder. Basically, no PTFE tube between the filament and the extruder. This makes it so you have a less chance of clogs or less chance of burned PTFE tube. The first printer I ever had, the Ender 3 Pro, had PTFE tube that would always scar and burn, leaving me with places where the filament could easily jam. Most direct drive extruders, including this one, have a filament runout sensor. Filament runout sensors are awesome because if you're starting a long print and it's the middle of the night and you run out of filament, it's not going to start printing in midair and you'll have to do that weird measuring trick. Even though that works, this is just so much easier. Also, one thing that not even my Bambu Lab printers have is it's got clog detection, which I didn't even know was a thing. Clog detection, as it says, can detect when filament's not fully getting extruded because there's a partial clog or full clog in the nozzle. It's got a camera to detect spaghetti detection. This you can only get for Bambu printers on the X1 series of printers because the other ones don't have that AI or whatever they use to get it. However, this doesn't need any of that. This uses a camera to detect it instead of LiDAR. And one thing that absolutely surprised me when I was going over the specs of this machine, it's got a spool weight sensor. A lot of questions come to mind when I first hear that. How do they measure the spool? Like, all the spools have different weights. What if it's got holes in the sides? Second, why don't more printers have this? Because this sounds like an awesome feature. I always feel like I'm going to run out of filament in the middle of a print. So the fact that I would know that I would have enough filament to go into the print would make me way more likely to print it in the first place. Next, let's talk about the nozzle. This uses a hardened steel nozzle, similar to the X1 Carbon or similar to upgrades you can get for other Bambu Lab printers. Hardened steel nozzles are great for making PLA food safe, though you want to clean it before you print with it if you're trying to make something food safe, but that's what allows it to print carbon fiber reinforced filament. If you don't have hardened steel, you can't print it because it'll damage the nozzle. And hardened steel has a higher temperature it can reach, which this nozzle can reach 350 degrees Celsius. That can melt down any filament you've got. For reference, that's 50 degrees hotter than the P1P or P1S of Bambu Labs can get. This nozzle has the standard 0.4mm thickness, which there's a reason it's standard. It's probably the best thickness you can get. Let's talk about cooling. As I mentioned earlier, the S1 Pro uses a CPAP fan to cool the parts. This is kind of needed when you're printing at 1200 millimeters per second. And for reference, the X1 Carbon prints at about 500 millimeters per second. This means your benchy, instead of taking 17 minutes on the X1 Carbon, would take 8 minutes on the S1 Pro. And when working together with the CPAP fan, you get parts that look really good and print really fast. This printer also has a camera in the chamber. This means you can monitor prints or you can make time lapses with their apps. The camera is about what's standard with most 3D printer cameras, although it's better than like the A1 and A1 Mini. FLSUN have their own offshoot of Bambu Slicer, or I think it's an offshoot of Prusa Slicer, but it looks and feels a lot like Bambu Slicer. It's also compatible with Orca Slicer too, which is what I mostly use for these 3D printers behind me. And the best thing about this 3D printer, it actually has a touchscreen, unlike the P1P. I've never thought I needed a touchscreen until I got my A1 and A1 Mini, and the touchscreen just makes it so much easier to load filaments, just to monitor your prints, everything. It's all easier with the touchscreen. And this one's really responsive too. The last thing I'm going to cover is the spool holder. I love this design. They made it into a filament dry box, which means you can print all these hard materials and not worry about them soaking up moisture. This dry box is located on top of the 3D printer, which kind of makes it look like a refrigerator, but that's a different point. So in conclusion, this is pretty much the fastest 3D printer you can buy and its price is right around the Bamboo Labs X1 Carbon. So let me know down in the comments if you're going to buy this, and I've got a discount code for you. FLSUN did not pay me to make this review. However, if this review gets over 5,000 views, they will send me one of their printers. And please smash that like button so I can get one. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'll see you guys later.